Hey there, happy Friday. It's Sam with another writing video for you. If you're watching the video and not just listening to the audio, you'll notice I'm not in my usual spot. I am at the office today. No big reason. I usually work from home on Fridays, but there was a special event today I came in for. So here I am at work in a little huddle room. If my boss is watching this, don't worry. I am on a break. I'm keeping track of my hours. So yeah, don't worry. I'm not doing personal stuff in work time, but it's fine. So here I am with a Friday video for you. Last one before Christmas, probably. Actually, I probably won't do it next week because I'll be with family, and a lot of people will be hopefully celebrating with family too. But not a huge topic today. I just wanted to share a little exercise in creativity for writers that has been helping me a little bit, or at the very least, it's been interesting to explore. Whether it helps my writing or not, I guess maybe we'll see in the future. But it's been interesting to explore. And maybe it'll be interesting to you too, and give you some ideas. People are always asking about, where do you get your inspiration? Where do you come up with ideas? How do you, think of new things when everything has been done already? That kind of thing. I don't have a definite formula for that, but I have been asking myself one question lately. Well, I mean variations, but generally one question that keeps me going, that helps me think through some of these ideas when I'm just out of curiosity and just for myself being a writer, I've started to kind of ask myself things like this. And the question is, well, if I'm watching or reading something, particularly in my genre, like sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, adventure, that kind of thing. If I'm watching and reading this, and or a character or a story or whatever, I ask myself, here it is, what would I do if I was writing this character, this universe, this story, whatever? I asked myself, what would I do if I was writing this? And that's often more applicable. For me, I've used it a lot in like multi-story universes where there's many different writers contributing to the same universe, like Marvel, DC, Star Wars. They're not just one story. They're sagas that have had many different characters and contributors over decades now, and so it's almost maybe I shouldn't say realistic, maybe that's being too hopeful, but it's at least in the realm of possibility. It's at least conceivable that one day, if I hit success, that I could become one of those writers for one of those companies and stories. And so I've asked myself, like, if I was writing this character, if I was writing this story, what would I do? I'll give you an example. Take Batman, for example. Batman has been around for 80 years. There's been shows, movies, comics, obviously, and everyone who's writing Batman wants to bring their own take to it these days. Comics these days try to be, they're more complex than they used to be, which is good and bad, but for story purposes, it's usually good. A writer doesn't just want to do, the Joker has a plot and Batman defeats him, yay. We want something more than that. We want harder to find because we don't always know what we want, but that's been done 20 times before at least. We want something that's going to be memorable. So each new comic book writer who does Batman has to, I guess, make their own mark on him, or at least do something that's that's semi-original, but still hasn't doesn't but still not like a complete deviation from the character. They want to make it their own and make it new. And so it's hard after all this time to do it well. And I've read some comics in recent years that I felt like were just kind of some Batman comics that I felt like were a parody of themselves. Like it's not doing anything new. It's just generic Batman. It's still entertaining, but it's not special or whatever. And I've read some that have been pretty good. So I asked myself, like, what would I do if I was writing Batman? How would I bring something new or original to Batman? I don't know the answer to that. Well, I've thought of a few answers, and I mean, I haven't written these out yet. If you want to, if you have time, you can. There's always fan fiction, or might spark some ideas for something else. But I've thought of like, what if Batman actually like let himself be happy and settled down and got married and like kind of lived that dual identity life, like maybe Spider-Man or Superman or other characters have. And one writer almost did that recently in the comics, but it didn't quite go that way. And then conversely, I'm like, what if he like went even darker and like faked Bruce Wayne's death and he only lived as Batman all the time and like cut out the last bit of humanity he had. And then I was like, what if there were two alternate realities or something that Bruce Wayne was able to see, and they kind of took their toll on him. I don't know. Not if I ever wrote the story, not sure what I'd do with it exactly, what the overarching point would be, but interesting ideas. And then I was like, what if it was? What about Batman's villains? They're always more. It's supposed to be more psychologically complex. I mean, Spider-Man's villains just have interesting powers, but Batman's villains are psychologically complex and such. And I'm like, what's a Batman villain that hasn't been done before? Because I was reading like Detective Comics number 1000, which is a big milestone that came out a few years ago, and I was like, how are they going to make this new? But they did introduce a new villain into that one, and I'm like, how are they going to do something new that's never been done before with this character? Best options I could think of for a Batman villain were one, a magic user, because magic exists in that larger universe, but it's not like part of Batman's world, so he'd have to like learn at least some magic from other characters to combat that. And two, this is gimmicky, but it would work in the comic book universe. An alternate universe Alfred, who was evil and like wanted to take Batman down. Like maybe in an alternate universe, Alfred thinks like Batman is a curse and hurts everything he touches and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm gonna take you down, so no one else has to suffer. And of course, Alfred is the one confidant who is most equipped to take Batman down. So I was like, evil Alfred could do it. Anyway, obviously that hasn't happened yet. I don't have a contract with DC or anything, and I haven't written fan fiction in a while. I'm not against writing some fan fiction, just haven't had time with my other projects. Maybe I will in the new year, who knows. But those are some ideas I thought of. Just by asking myself, what would I do if I was writing Batman? Again, who knows if I'll ever use those ideas? Who knows where it'll lead? But their creativity, it's a challenge to yourself in thinking up creative ideas and exploring those options. Similar thing I've asked myself, like, what would I do in Star Wars? Like, if I ever got to write a Star Wars comic or a Star Wars novel, what would I do that hasn't been done? Because there's been all kinds of novels and comics already. And my answer is, I've said this before. Obviously, I don't have it copyrighted because I don't own Star Wars, but and I haven't written fan fiction on it yet. But maybe if Lucasfilm ever hears this idea and picks it up before I get to it, you'll know it came from me first. But my idea for Star Wars is a superhero set within the Star Wars universe, like have a teenager who finds out he can use the Force, but it's in the time of the Empire, so no one really talks about the Jedi. He doesn't know what he is or where his powers are coming from. He just knows he has these mysterious powers that he can kind of control, and so he uses his powers to fight crime in his little corner of the galaxy. I'd probably have him in Big City Coruscant, that kind of thing. So it'd be a familiar classic superhero story in a new setting. Those are the kinds of ideas I think of, and I not that I've really pursued many of them yet or had time to write them all down, but I think of that just by asking myself this one question when I'm either watching a show or reading a story or a movie. I ask myself, what would I do if I was writing this? And even if it's I was talking about universes that are shared and have many writers contributing to them, even if it's not like that, even if it's like a fantasy series or just a book series with one author, you could ask yourself, like, where would I take this character next? Or what would I do if I was writing like a spin-off series in this world, or if I was continuing these adventures? What would I do with that as a writer? Ask yourself that question. It opens up a lot of possibilities, a lot of inspiration, a lot of possible future stories that either you can do fan fiction about, or you could maybe take some part of that idea that's not copyrighted and put it into your work. Lots of different opportunities for you to explore. Hope that helps you out. Ask yourself that question when you're reading or writing or watching something in your genre. Ask yourself, what would I do with this? And then let your imagination take you to all new places, and let it be a challenge to you to think of something interesting. So that's my little tip for this week. That question can help you out of some tight spots maybe. Hope it helps. Hope you keep meeting your wedding goals. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas season with your family, and I'll talk to you guys later. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, whatever it is. Bye.